Welcome back to the Book Nook Podcast, listener.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Today, we're diving deep into Nelson Dellis' book.
Remember it.
Yes. Remember it.
It's a good one.
We're going to really laser focus on like the techniques and exercises
The actionable stuff.
that you can use immediately
Yeah, practical advice.
to improve your memory.
Exactly. You know, we're talking about the guy is a memory champion.
Yeah.
He can remember hundreds of digits and names and stuff like that.
Right.
So he's proof that it's a skill.
Yes.
You can learn it.
It's not some kind of gift.
You can develop this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's really our mission for today's deep dive,
Yeah.
is to give you those tools
Yeah.
without, having to feel like you have to go to school for this. We
Mm.
want this to be something that you can implement like right away.
Immediately. Exactly.
So we're zoning in on the exercises.
Yeah. And, I think one of the things that Dellis really emphasizes is that attention
Oh, yeah.
is so important for good memory. Really being present.
Yeah, being present, like really focusing on what you're trying to remember.
Right.
And he even suggests that by remembering better, you can experience life more
Really.
and enjoy it more.
I like that.
Yeah. So, right there, that's like an actionable step for you, listener,
Okay.
to just be more present,
More present.
more attentive in your daily life.
So that's like step one.
That's step one, yeah.
Okay. I like that.
And then from there, we can kind of, build on that foundation.
Okay. So building on that foundation,
Yeah.
what is one of the kind of core methodologies or systems?
Well, Dellis has this thing that he calls
Oh, yeah. I've heard of this.
the ceiling go method.
The ceiling go method.
And this is like a really powerful way to encode information into your memory.
Okay. So break this down.
Okay, so first you have the C part.
Okay. See.
This is where you create a vivid mental image
Okay.
of whatever it is you're trying to remember.
I can get down with that. Yeah. So like if you're trying to remember a name,
Right.
you might picture a face.
Uh-huh.
Or if you're trying to remember a number,
Yeah.
you might picture a sequence of objects that represent that number.
And Dellis gives some really crazy examples.
Oh, he does. He goes all out.
Like I remember he talked about like an elephant driving a tractor.
Yeah, an elephant driving a tractor, George W. Bush moonwalking, and a turtle playing a guitar with a mushroom on top.
It's very vivid.
It's very vivid.
But that's the point,
Oh,
right?
wait.
Like the crazier it is,
Yeah, the more memorable it is.
the more you're going to remember it.
Exactly.
So for the listener,
Yeah.
try to practice that.
Yeah.
Try to come up with these crazy visuals
Yeah, get creatives. Have fun with it.
for the things that you're trying to remember.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to make it like really out there.
Yeah.
The weirder, the better.
The weirder, the better.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so we've seen it.
We've seen it now. We need to link it.
Link.
So that's the next step. Link. And this is where you connect that vivid image you just created to something you already know.
Something you already know. So like,
Yeah, so like a location or another image or a concept that's already firmly planted in your mind.
okay.
And there's a few different ways to do this.
Okay.
One way is the linking method, where you create a chain of images.
Okay, like a story almost.
But a story, yeah, each one leading to the next.
Uh-huh.
Another way is the peg method,
Right.
where you use pre-memorized pegs.
Yes.
These are like hooks
Okay.
that you can hang information on.
Okay.
So for example, you might have a peg list of numbers.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
1 is a bun, 2 is a shoe, 3 is a tree.
Okay, found it.
And then you would link the information you want to remember to those pegs.
Got it.
And then there's the journey method.
Okay, the journey method, what's that?
So the journey method is where you associate information with locations
Okay.
along a familiar route.
So like my commute.
Yeah, like your commute or a walk through your house.
Okay.
So let's say you want to remember a grocery list.
Yeah.
You might imagine yourself walking through your house and placing each item on the list at a different location.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
like milk by the fridge.
Milk by the fridge, exactly.
Bread on the counter.
Bread on the counter, yep.
Eggs by the door.
Eggs by the door, perfect.
So listener,
Yeah.
if you want to try this out,
Yeah.
pick a simple journey like walking through your house
Yeah, your apartment, wherever.
and think of like 3 or 4 things
3 or 4 things. Yeah, just a short list.
and place those items
Yeah.
at different locations.
At different spots along your journey.
Okay, cool. Like that.
And the reason this works so well is that our brains are really good at remembering spatial information. So you're kind of tapping into that natural ability.
Leveraging our strengths.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've linked it.
We've linked it.
Now we get it.
Now we gotta go.
Go.
Go. That's the final step.
Okay, so what's go about?
So go is all about making those mental images stick,
Okay.
making them really memorable.
Okay, so how do we do that?
So Dellis talks about 3 main techniques.
Okay.
Sensory overload,
Sensory overload,
grotesque absurdity,
grotesque absurdity.
and movable attributes.
Okay, those are some big words.
They are, but they're actually pretty simple concepts.
Okay, break them down.
Okay, so sensory overload
Sensory overload.
is basically just engaging all of your senses
Okay,
in your mental image.
so not just what it looks like.
Right, not just what it looks like, but also what it sounds like, smells like, tastes like, feels like.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the more senses you can engage,
Yeah.
the stronger the memory will be.
Okay.
Then there's grotesque absurdity.
Grotesque absurdity. Okay.
This is where you make the images as bizarre and over the top as possible.
Like really crazy.
Yeah, really crazy. Like, think cartoons.
Okay.
Think exaggeration. The more ridiculous it is,
They're more ridiculous.
the more memorable it will be.
It'll stand out.
Exactly.
Right.
And then finally, there's movable attributes.
Movable attributes.
And this is where you think about how the objects in your image can interact with each other
Oh, okay.
and with their environment.
So they're not just static images.
Right. They're not just sitting there.
Doing stuff.
They're doing stuff. They're moving around.
Yeah.
They're interacting with each other.
I like it.
Yeah. It makes them more dynamic and more memorable.
So for our listener,
Yeah.
thinking back to that journey method example,
Yeah.
with the 3 or 4 items
Right.
in your house.
In your house.
Now think about how you can apply these go techniques
Yeah.
to really make them stick.
Exactly. So let's say you had an apple,
Okay. Apple.
a newspaper, and a light bulb.
Apple, newspaper, light bulb. Okay.
Yeah. So for the apple,
Yeah.
you might imagine biting into it,
Uh-huh.
and it tastes like popcorn.
Okay. Sensory overload.
Sensory overload, right?
Different taste than you'd expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally unexpected.
Okay.
For the newspaper,
Newspaper.
you might imagine it sprouting legs
Okay.
and tap dancing down the hallway.
Right. Movable attribute.
Movable attribute and kind of absurd, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the light bulb.
The light bulb, you could imagine it singing opera.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Right. That's great.
So you've got sensory overload there with the sound,
Yes.
and you've got absurdity.
It's all coming together. So
Yeah.
listener,
Yeah.
try to go back
Yeah.
and retrace your steps
Mentally retrace your steps.
through your journey
Through your journey.
and see if you can recall those items
Exactly.
and really focus on those sensory details.
Yeah, and that active recall,
Oh, okay.
that's really important because
Okay.
it helps to solidify the memory.
Got it.
It strengthens those neural connections.
So it's not enough just to create the images.
Right. You have to actually go back and revisit them.
Revisit them, actively recall them.
Exactly.
Okay, great. I like that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about kind of these core principles.
The foundation of memory.
Now let's talk about some specific applications.
Okay, let's get practical.
Yeah. So like, let's say you're in a huge parking lot
Oh, yeah.
and you can never remember where you parked your car.
Classic problem.
Listener, have you ever had that happen?
I think we've all been there.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dellis has a technique for this.
He's has a technique for everything.
Right.
Yeah. So in this case,
Yeah.
he suggests using the C-Link Go method.
Okay, so how would we apply that to remembering where we parked?
So the first step is to create a vivid image
Yep.
for the floor or zone number
Okay.
where you parked your car.
Okay.
And one way to do this is to use the number shape system.
Okay, the number shape system.
Yeah, where each number has a corresponding shape.
So like 1 is a wand.
What is a wand? Exactly.
5 is a hook.
5 is a hook. Yep.
Okay, I got it.
And so on.
Okay.
So let's say you parked on the 5th floor.
5th floor.
You would picture a giant hook.
A giant hook.
Yeah, representing the number 5.
Okay.
And then you would link that image to your car
Yeah.
in some memorable way.
Okay.
So you might imagine the hook lifting your car into the air,
Okay.
or your car dangling precariously from the hook.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I like that.
Yeah. The more outlandish, the better.
So listener, next time you park,
Yeah.
try to take a mental snapshot
Yeah.
of where you are
Of that image.
using this number shape system.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, what about
About.
misplacing things around the house?
No.
Keys, phone, wallet.
The everyday essentials.
Right. It happens to the best of us.
It happens to everyone. Yeah.
I know I'm always losing my keys.
Me too. Me too.
So what does Dellis have for us on this one?
So Dellis has this really cool technique called the move it or lose it method.
Prove it or lose it method.
Yeah.
Okay, what is
So
that?
basically,
Yeah.
when you put something down somewhere other than its usual spot,
Okay.
you perform a random, unusual action
At the same time.
at the same time.
Okay.
So let's say you put your keys down on the kitchen counter
Instead of on the hook.
instead of on the hook, right?
Right.
You might tap them 3 times
Okay.
and say the word banana out loud.
Banana. Okay.
Something weird like that.
Okay.
And that weird action will help you remember where you put them.
Because it creates like a memory trace.
Exactly. It creates a stronger memory trace.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to
Yeah.
another big one.
Her big one. Yeah.
Remembering names.
Names. Oh, yeah.
I am so bad with names.
Me too. It's like the hardest thing.
I meet someone.
Yeah.
2 minutes later,
Gone.
I have no idea what their name is.
It's so awkward.
It's so awkward.
Yeah.
So what does Dellis say?
So Dellis has a specific approach for names.
Okay, lay it on me.
He calls it the link, see, go method for names.
Okay, it's similar to the other one.
Similar, but the order is a little different.
Oh, the order's different. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the first step?
So the first step is to link.
Link.
Link. Okay.
But in this case,
Yeah.
you're linking the name
Mm-hmm.
to a prominent facial feature
Of the person you just met.
of the person you just met. Exactly.
Okay, so like if they have
Yeah.
big ears
Big ears or a big nose.
or like a really high forehead.
Yeah. Anything that stands out.
Okay.
That's your link.
Got it. Okay.
Then you see.
See.
And this is where you create a memorable image
Okay.
for the name itself.
Okay.
So you might break the name down into its sounds
Okay.
or think of words or images that it reminds you of.
Uh-huh.
And again, you want to make this visual
Visual. Okay.
and easy to remember.
Got it.
And then finally, you go.
Go.
And this is where you anchor that image
Okay.
to the facial feature you chose in step 1.
Okay.
So you're basically visualizing the image,
Uh-huh.
interacting with that feature in some way. Okay, can you give me an example?
Sure. So let's say you meet someone named Donovan,
Donovan. Okay.
and he has a really prominent nose.
Okay, big nose Donovan.
Yeah, big nose Donovan.
Okay.
So you might create an image of someone donning a van.
Donning a van.
Yeah, like putting on a van.
Okay.
And you picture that van being placed right on the end of his nose.
Okay, so it's like a play on words.
Exactly. A play on words and a visual image.
Got it.
Another example.
Yeah.
Let's say you meet someone named Patrick,
Patrick.
and he has really bright, clear eyes.
Okay, bright eyes, Patrick.
Yeah, bright eyes, Patrick. So you might picture a bright red brick.
A bright red brick for Patrick.
Yeah, because Patrick sounds a bit like brick.
Okay, I got it.
And you imagine that brick floating in one of his eyes.
Okay, so again, kind of a play on words.
Yeah, a play on words and a very vivid image.
Very vivid. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, so the key here is to be creative and have fun with it.
Be creative, have fun with it.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to make it weird.
Make it weird.
The weirder the better,
The weirder the better.
because it will help you remember.
I like it. Okay, so
Yeah.
next time you meet someone new,
Yeah.
try to identify a distinct facial feature.
Yeah, something that stands out.
Create a mental image for their name,
Yeah, get creative with it.
and then visualize that image interacting with their face.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one more tip,
Yeah.
try to use the person's name in conversation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Shortly after you hear it,
Yeah.
it helps to reinforce the memory.
Repetition.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about remembering lists.
Lists. Oh, yeah.
Because we all have lists.
Grocery lists, to-do lists,
Packing lists.
shopping lists.
All kinds of lists.
All kinds of lists.
So how can we apply these techniques to lists?
So Dellis actually uses a really fun example in the book.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it.
He talks about memorizing the U.S. presidents.
Okay, that's a pretty long list.
It is a long list,
Yep.
but he does it by creating a linked story.
A link story.
Yeah, with visual associations. So, for example,
Yep.
Washington becomes a washing machine.
A Washington washing machine.
Adams becomes apples.
Adams, apples.
Jefferson becomes a Jefferson Starship,
Jefferson Starship.
Okay.
Okay.
and so on.
So he's basically creating like a crazy story
Yeah, a crazy, memorable story.
with all these images.
Exactly.
Okay, so obviously
Yeah.
we're not all going to be memorizing the U.S. presidents,
Right.
but we can apply that same principle
Absolutely.
to our everyday list.
To our everyday list, yeah.
So listener,
Yeah.
think about your next grocery list
Your to-do list.
and try to come up with a short, silly narrative
Yeah, have fun with it.
that links all the items together.
Exactly.
So let's say you need to buy
Yeah.
banana cereal and peanut butter.
Banana cereal peanut butter.
All right.
Okay.
So you can imagine
Yeah.
a giant banana
Okay, a giant banana.
pouring milk from the cereal aisle
Okay, pouring milk onto what?
onto a jar of peanut butter. And then the peanut butter jar starts to dance.
The peanut butter jar starts to dance. I love it.
Right.
That's great.
So it's silly, it's fun,
Yeah.
but it's memorable.
It's memorable. Exactly.
And that's the point.
That's the point.
Yeah. Okay. So another technique
Yes.
that Dellis talks about is the peg method.
The peg method, we talked about that earlier.
We did, yeah.
But how can we use that for, like...
Appointments.
Appointments and schedules.
Yeah, appointments, schedule, tasks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So one way to do this is to associate days of the week with specific images.
Okay.
So, for example, Tuesday could become tooth.
Tuesday tooth, because they sound similar.
Exactly, they sound similar.
Okay.
So let's say you have a 10:40 a.m. appointment in Portland on Tuesday.
10:40 Portland, Tuesday.
Yeah, you could create a mental image of a giant tooth.
Okay, a giant tooth.
Wearing a Portland Trailblazers jersey.
Okay.
Arriving at a dentist's office.
That's actually a famous Portland microbrewery.
Okay, getting very specific.
Very specific, yeah.
Yeah.
And all of this is happening around 10:30 in the morning.
10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so the tooth peg for Tuesday helps you remember the day.
Okay.
And the bizarre image links the time and location to that peg.
Okay, so it all ties together.
It all ties together, yeah.
So listener, you can create your own peg list.
Your own peg list, yeah.
For the days of the week.
For anything, really.
Or for numbers.
Yeah, numbers, anything.
And then try to anchor those appointments and tasks to those pegs.
To those pegs, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good system.
And finally...
the journey method.
The journey method.
And you talked about a little bit earlier.
We did touch on it, yeah.
But Dellis also talks about using it for...
for longer-term information.
Longer-term information.
Yeah, and for remembering directions.
Your directions, okay.
Yeah, so for longer-term information, you can create more elaborate journeys.
With more locations.
More locations.
Yeah, maybe even multiple journeys.
Multiple journeys. Okay.
For different categories of information.
Okay.
And then for directions.
Directions.
Yeah, the key is to visualize each turn.
Each turn.
Each landmark, each street name, by placing memorable images at each point along your route.
So like a mental map?
Like a mental map, yeah.
Okay.
He gives a really cool example in the book.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Of navigating from the Louvre to Notre Dame in Paris.
From the Louvre to Notre Dame. Okay.
Yeah. So for the first left turn onto the Quai du Louvre.
Quai du Louvre.
Yeah, which is pronounced Quai. Like, okay.
Okay.
You might picture yourself saying, okay, Louvre.
Okay, Louvre.
And then imagine a giant okay symbol.
A giant okay symbol.
While floating on the Seine.
On the Seine.
Right next to the museum.
Okay.
And then for the fourth bridge.
Fourth bridge.
Which is called Pont Turf. You might visualize 4 giant balloons shaped like sailboats.
Sailboats for 4. Okay.
Yeah, sailboats for 4 floating under the bridge.
Under the bridge, okay.
Yeah. And then for Rue de la Cite.
Rouge la Cite.
You might imagine a kangaroo.
A kangaroo.
Yeah, because it sounds a bit like Rue.
Rue kangaroo.
Dancing through the city, wearing a beret and carrying a baguette.
Oh my God, so French.
So French, right?
Okay.
And then finally you arrive at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So by placing these vivid images at these key points.
At the key points.
You're creating a mental map.
A mental map that you can follow.
That you can follow.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
It's a fun way to remember directions.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so listener.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. We've gone deep.
We've gone deep into Nelson Dellis's Remember It.
An excellent book.
And we hope that you've picked up some valuable tools.
Some actionable techniques.
That you can start using right away.
Immediately.
To boost your memory.
Yeah, because as Dellis says, practice is key.
Practice is key.
You got to use it or you lose it.
You got to use it or you lose it.
Yeah.
And the more you practice,
the better you'll get.
The better you'll get.
Yeah. And the more you'll trust your memory.
Trust your memory.
Yeah, that's important too.
Because if you don't trust it, you're not going to use it.
Exactly.
So we've talked about attention.
Attention, the foundation.
The foundation.
Yeah.
The C-Link Go method.
Visualization association.
And specific exercises.
For every tips.
For everyday memory challenges.
Yeah, like parking.
Finding your keys.
Remembering names.
Remembering lists.
Remembering directions.
All those things.
Yeah, the stuff that we all struggle with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to go even deeper.
Yeah.
We highly recommend
checking out the book.
Reading Nelson Dellis's Remember It.
It's a great read.
Yeah, he goes into a lot more detail.
He does.
On all these techniques.
Yeah.
And he gives you
and more examples.
Even more tips and tricks.
Yeah, he's got a whole system for numbers.
Oh, yeah.
For passwords for speeches.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
So if you're serious about improving your memory, that book is a must-read.
Definitely check it out.
All right, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time on the Book Nook Podcast.
See you later, listener.
Bye.